Hey, it's me, your boy Jay, coming to you again from Freedom Train. Hey, I just wanted to give a quick talk about a subject that I know is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. So let's not even beat around the bush. Sending your kids to college. Now, I know a lot of you think that by sending them to college, they get an education, it's going to allow them to get a good job. And that would be one of the worst things that could ever happen to them, ever in their life. And let me explain what I'm talking about. In America, the worst way to make money is to have a job. Now, I know a whole lot of you don't understand that, but when you make money by having a job, essentially, the government gets to get their greedy little fingers into the pie before you ever get a chance to see how much you earned. Yeah, that's right. They get to take their money first. And thereby making it the single worst way for you to earn money that there is. Now, let's talk about a business. A business, on the other hand, Uncle Sam says to the businessman, Mr. Businessman, we want you to pay taxes too. However, when you go to pay your business taxes, we're going to wait until you get finished spending. So, guess how much money the business has when it's done spending so that it can be taxed? If you said zero, guess what? Hooray! Because you're absolutely right. They never gonna have anything left over for you to tax. Why would they? I don't care if I have to give it away to somebody. I'm gonna do that long before I ever let the government get hold of it. Because quite frankly, I don't trust them to spend it in a fashion that's going to benefit me. And so, as such, I'm not going to do that. But here's the kicker. That's not even the biggest reason why you don't want to go with that strategy of your kids going to school. I'm going to give you a couple more reasons that are even bigger than that. Let's start at the beginning. First of all, the cost. Haha. Yeah, that's right. Sending your kids to school is going to cost you an exorbitant amount of money. Now, this is capital that you shouldn't really even be spending for that sort of purposes, because that's not how wealthy people do things. Do wealthy people send their kids to school? You're darn right they do, but not that way. Not that way at all. So, how do they send their kids to school? Well, when the kids are first born, wealthy people set them up with their own banks, so that when they get to turn 18, the money that's there is already there for their college education. They don't have to worry about how much it's going to cost, if they can afford it, whether their parents or grandparents are going to pay for it, because the money is already there. And how were they able to do that? Well, they were able to do that because they understood a whole lot more about money than, guess who? That would probably be you. Because if you went to school and took out a bunch of student loans, then you went about it in the wrong way. Because that is the worst way for you to go and pay for an education. Because, see, ultimately what happens is when you do that, you get stuck with a lot of student loans. And those student loans are very difficult to pay off, especially right away when you don't have a job or any way to pay them back. And what you don't realize is while you're not paying them back, those loans are building up higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. Until one day, you finally say, hey, you know what? I think I might want to make a dent in that because my credit isn't worth 2 plug nickels. And so what is it that you start to do? You start to pay it back. Well, it's not all that easy by this point because now you've got to pay back a whole lot more than what you initially thought you were going to have to pay. And so those payments can be really high and really costly as far as paying it back over the long term. So that's not really a very sound strategy, as many of you have found out. When you've had to pay on those loans for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Some of you are paying on them like a mortgage on a friggin' house. How's that working out for you? Yeah, I'm sure. Not so quickly and not so well at all. And then there comes what we call Parkinson's Law. Now, I'm sure most of you probably haven't heard of Parkinson's Law. Only people that are either economists or typically wealthy people have heard of Parkinson's Law. Now, what Parkinson's Law is, and just to sum it up in a nutshell, is that the more money that you make, the more money that you're going to spend. In other words, if you get a degree and you become a doctor, then guess what? You have to live like other doctors live. Now, that means you're probably going to go and get you a nice Mercedes-Benz, or maybe now a nice Tesla Model X or Y or Z or whatever alphabet letter happens to be the fancy of the day. And once you do, you're going to spend a whole lot of money for that. Yeah, are you seeing where I'm going? The more money you make, the more money you're going to spend. Why? Because you have to. It's the nature of the beast. When you become the more money you get, every time you get a raise, you're sitting there wondering, hey, I make more money this year than I make last year. How come my paycheck can't stretch so far? Well, there's 2 good reasons for that. Number 1, it's called inflation. And so each year, things get more and more expensive. And so that paycheck increase doesn't go quite as far as you thought it was. But that doesn't matter, because when you saw those numbers that went in there and you saw you were making a little bit more money, you went from having coffee at home to now, we can have us a Starbucks. We can splurge because after all, we can afford it. So that's what you do. And the things that weren't necessities before become necessities now. Whereas before you couldn't afford to go and get a massage once a month or once a week, now you can. And so guess what? You don't want to do without that. Why, that would be hell on earth. After all, you work so hard and long. You see where I'm going with this? Not a good look and not a way to obtain wealth. It's not a way to get out of the rat trap. And if you want to end up being old, trying to live on Social Security, which means you're probably going to be eating some cat food or trying to figure out some other kind of way to stretch those dollars so that you can make it. Because trust me, you aren't going to be getting but next to nothing. So living the way that you're living now is going to be an impossibility. That will never, ever, ever happen. Never, ever, ever, ever. And if you're relying on that 401k, because a lot of you are, you're sitting there thinking, hey, my employer said if I just keep sticking it in this 401k, when I get ready to retire, I'm in there. I'm going to be good like gold. But guess what? They lied to you. Go find somebody that's living on that 401k. If you don't believe me, go find them. See what happens. They're sitting there wondering, oh my goodness, am I going to live longer than my 401k money? That's the question that's sitting there at the back of their minds right now to this day. They're wondering, and guess what they're doing? Yeah, they're sitting over at Walmart. They're greeters at Walmart because they're scared, because they know it's not going to last. I might outlive it. Don't you get caught in that trap. So what you want to do is stop fooling around. Stop thinking that sending your kids to college is the end all be all of everything, because quite frankly, it's not. College is a good thing. It can be a really good thing and be a benefit to everyone, all of mankind. And I'm not saying that we don't need college educated people. Please don't get me wrong, because that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is we've been going out about it all in the wrong way. We don't want to have kids going to school because they need to get a good job. No, that's not how it works. That's not how this system was all set up. What we need is owners. We need them to have ownership. I don't care what it's ownership of, whether it's ownership of stocks, whether it's ownership of businesses, whether it's ownership of real estate. Doesn't really matter what it is that you own, but you gotta own something. And you gotta teach your kids to be owners and not be just consumers, because consumers die broke. Trust me, I've seen it. My father had well over $1 million on 2 separate occasions. And when he died, he didn't die with not a nickel to his name. So, when I tell you I know what I'm talking about, believe me. I'm not lying. I ain't making this up. Don't do it. Don't fall into the trap. Learn to build a business. Learn to become a business person. Learn how to invest in the stock market, because you gotta learn first. Don't just take the advice of some stockbroker or some fiduciary, because they just want your money. Because, see, they make their money whether you do or not. So don't do it. Go learn. Keep watching, because we're going to keep teaching you so that you can start making better choices. Go read the books. We keep putting them down there in the links. And you all need to go buy them. Get your libraries going and start reading. Start taking the classes. There's tons and tons of them out there. They're happening all over this place, in cities all around the country, every single place that you can find. There's certainly some in your neighborhood. You just have to do the search to find them. Keep getting on YouTube and checking out these people that are talking about making money, and learn the vocabulary, because that's the first part. Because if they're talking about things that you can't even comprehend, MLPs and infinite banks and HTFAs and ABCDEFGs, and They're telling you all these letters, and you're like, what in the world are they talking about? Yeah, you want to have a clue. So, go read the books. Do it. Do it now. There's two of them in the links down below. The Richest Man in Babylon. Probably not a more important book for you to read. Then there's Tony Robbins, Unshakable. You want to have an unshakable mentality. And he is the right man to talk to, because he's talked to hundreds of the smartest financial people in the world. And the guy's a multi-millionaire. So, what are you waiting for? Go do it. Subscribe to the channel down below. You know what to do. Hit that little red subscribe button. Get that bell notification so you can get notified when we put out our latest content. We want you to get all the information that you can get so that you can get out of the rat race and get free. That's what Freedom Train is all about. Let's get you free. Hey, it's me, your boy Jay. Thanks for checking us out. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.